It's a beautiful day in Wapaka. I'm glad you're joining me here at the Lakes for Good News Reflections. I'm Pastor Dean. Today for Chapter a Day, we're reading Matthew chapter 12. I invite you to read the entire chapter. For this reflection, I want to start at verse 46 and I'm going to read through 50. While Jesus was still talking to the crowd, his mother and brothers stood outside, wanting to speak to him. Someone told him, "Your mother and your brothers are standing outside and they want to talk to you." Jesus replied to him, "Who is my mother? And who are my brothers?" Pointing to his disciples, he said, "Here are my brother, my mother. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and my mother." I grew up in Northern California, and it was a beautiful day most days. And we had a swimming pool in the backyard. We were fortunate enough. I spent a lot of time swimming in the pool. So did my family and my friends. And so when the time came and I was old enough, I did what a lot of kids do around where I grew up, and that was join a swim team. And I swam for years on a swim team there in Lodi, California. I love to swim I like to swim the freestyle. I liked backstroke, but I loved swimming the butterfly. And if you're not familiar with the butterfly stroke, I invite you just to put it in YouTube and check it out. I wasn't that great at it, but I loved swimming it in competition. It was particularly fun for me. One year, I think I was probably in 7th grade, my coach came to me and said, "Wheeler, this year I need you to swim breaststroke along with the other strokes." And I'm like, I hate swimming the breaststroke. I didn't say that to him, by the way. I remember that. I didn't say that. I just said, "Yes, I'll do it," because he was asking me, but I hated swimming it. I hated swimming it for a couple of reasons. 2 great reasons. One was I was always the last in the pool because I was slow at it. Second, I always got disqualified because I'd kick my feet out of the water, and that you're out, when you do that. But our team only had 2 breaststroke swimmers, and we needed 3 to swim competitively as a team. And so I was the 3rd man, and week after week, I got in the pool and I tried to swim the breaststroke, even though it was always awful, and I always got disqualified no matter what. It was just crazy. But I did it. Why? Because I belonged to the team, and I did what the coach told me. So Jesus is teaching and healing people. He's inside, and his mother and brothers come. They're outside. They can't get in because of the crowd. And someone comes in to Jesus and said, "Hey, Jesus, your mom and your brothers are outside and they'd like to talk to you." And Jesus says to him, "Well, who's my mother and who are my brothers?" And then he points to his disciples and he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my mother or my brother or my sister." Whoever does the will of the Father in heaven is truly a part of the family and belongs. Belonging is a big deal in the church. How do you belong? And of course, I grew up in a tradition that believed heavily in the rite of baptism. Scripture talks about that. If you're not familiar with that, read Romans chapter 6 in particular. The importance of belonging through baptism, or belonging through profession of faith, the creed, or the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed, or belonging through when I gave my life to Christ. When I was 12, I got down on my knees and I gave my life to Christ at a Billy Graham crusade. But Jesus is quite clear that those who truly belong to the family, who are his mother or brothers or sisters, are those who do practice, act in regards to the will of the Father in heaven. And so I ask you, and I'm asking myself the same question. If Jesus were standing in front of us, would he point to you and say, or to me and say, ah, there is my brother, there's my sister, because they do the will of my Father in heaven. This world is longing for people who are willing to belong to the family of God by doing the will of our Father in heaven. Are you willing to love those who are your enemies? Are you willing to bless those who curse you? Are you willing to feed the hungry, to visit those in prison, to comfort the sick, to bring healing to those who are hurting? This world is looking for people who belong to the family of God.